Hello and welcome to my channel once again. If you're new here, hi, I'm Shelly from Mochaberrie, and today I'm going to be talking about conventions and how I started doing booths in conventions and all that kind of stuff. I am still developing myself in that type of scenario, but I'm doing better than what I've been doing, what I've done before. So I just wanted to show you guys my transition through how things started and how I kind of got into all that and how it's going now. And I hope you like it. And at the end, I'm gonna tell you three, not just one, but 3 tips in how you can also start having your own shows and going to conventions and selling your art and booths and all that kind of stuff. So probably also a good idea to say in the beginning, but what I mean by booths is art booths in anime conventions or comic conventions, art shows. Sometimes they do them outside, sometimes they do them just in places, but that's what I mean by having your own, by applying to like booths and selling your art and all that kind of stuff. Now let's go back into the beginning of everything. I've enjoyed creating art for a long time, well, pretty much my whole life. And back in Puerto Rico, I'm Puerto Rican, by the way. But back in Puerto Rico, I started selling in the university. So I started selling, by the way, not my art. I started selling jewelry. I started making jewelry. I just wanted to sell something, and art wasn't the first thing that popped into my head. But back in the university that I used to go back in Puerto Rico, it is called the University of Puerto Rico. They used to do this thing once in a while where you could set up a little table and sell your own things for, I don't even remember how long you were supposed to stay there for, but it was like $30 for the day, and then you can sell whatever you wanted. You can just sell whatever you want. So when I knew you could do that in the university, I thought it was pretty cool, and I just thought, why not apply and see what happens? And they were like, yeah, sure, just set a booth here. And I'm like, sweet. I don't even know what to sell. So I just started making like little jewelry, because I used to love making jewelry as well. And I started selling that. And then mom also helped me, so we made like a whole bunch of necklaces, bracelets, like those friendship bracelets. I made a few as well, and I just started selling that pretty much, and I really liked it. I thought it was a lot of fun, and I wanted to do it again. Back then, I also discovered what maid cafes were, and then that just became like a big thing in like the community, the cosplaying and the anime community and all that kind of stuff. There was a pretty popular maid cafe in Puerto Rico, and I loved the whole concept. I completely fell in love with the whole concept. So I also wanted to do a maid cafe. And when they did, they used to do the whole, you can set up your own booth in the university a few times in the month. I really don't remember how many times I could do it, but every time that I was able to, I applied. And then instead of, I think after like 2 times of doing the jewelry stuff, I decided, man, I want to do a maid cafe. So I gathered some like-minded people. I don't know if that's how you say it, but I just gathered up and I met some friends. I met some people that actually wanted to do the same thing and knew what maid cafes were. So I tried to do a little maid cafe business as well, and we started selling like little foods. What else did we sell? I don't remember what I sold exactly, but it was like food. And my friends helped me, my mom helped me a whole bunch. And every time there was like the little booth stuff, instead of selling jewelry, I just made like a little tiny maid cafe-ish. We weren't dressed up as maid. We were collecting money so that way we could do the maid cafe for a convention there in Puerto Rico whenever a convention will pop up. And one of my friends actually ended up applying for a convention for the maid cafe, and we got it, and we were able to actually do our first maid cafe show, and like all of us dressed up in maid outfits and all that kind of stuff. So I thought it was really cool. She just applied and we got it, so we were able to do that. However, back in Puerto Rico when I lived there, I don't live there anymore actually. I moved a long time ago. I'm in the States now. But back when I used to live in Puerto Rico, there was several anime conventions they used to do, and they still do. But when I lived over there, I actually never applied to be an artist in one of the conventions. I thought that was like that was way too cool, and I wasn't that cool. but somehow I was able to do the maid cafe thing instead. But actually for the art, artist alley and all that kind of stuff, I never got to experience it in Puerto Rico, like how it was in Puerto Rico. However, after I moved, I actually started drawing a lot more than what I used to draw back in Puerto Rico. So after a little bit, I actually made it my goal to pretty much draw at least a little bit every day, so that way I can just practice more and then just get better at the skill to see if I could probably do something with it in the future. So I started pretty much drawing every day. I wouldn't finish something every day, but I would just draw every day, and I started getting better. And at one point I actually really started liking my art. I thought it was in a good place for it to, so I could do something with it. And I thought, hey, why not? There's so many anime conventions in the States. There's so many, which I loved. That was like a crazy, when I got here for the first time, I thought it was so freaking awesome because it's so different from Puerto Rico. Puerto Ricos are good too, but the anime conventions here are awesome. So when I came here and I saw that there's this like whole thing where the conventions are huge, all these artists in the artist alley that they're selling, I thought that was really cool. So after a while of me practicing art, I thought, why not apply for one of the conventions? And I did. I applied to my very first convention. It's called Anime Weekend Atlanta.
Just to clarify, it was not called Anime Weekend Atlanta. I don't know why I said that. It's called Anime Festival Orlando, and then short for that is AFO. But yeah, I just wanted to clarify that. So let's go back to the video.
AFO. And that was the first con that I started selling my art. So after all that, I just thought, yeah, I like this. I would like to continue applying to other conventions and see what happens. And the next, I don't think it was the next one, I don't remember very well, but one of the first conventions that I went to, surprisingly, was MegaCon. It's a very big convention that happens nearby as well. And I have a friend that she also likes to draw, and once we knew we liked to do that, we thought maybe we should both get like together into one of these conventions and sell our art. And she applied for MegaCon and got it. And they said that we can split our booth. So we both sold our own thing, split. Like, it was the table, and then we split the table, and one side was mine and the other side was hers. So we did that for MegaCon. MegaCon is a huge convention. It's 4 days, I think. It's 4 days. So I was super ecstatic because so was she. But I don't even know how she actually got that, to be honest. But we were able to get in there, and I did MegaCon as well. I did after AFO. I had some time to actually prepare for MegaCon because I had like a whole year pretty much to prepare. So I started looking into how to do better things. I started upgrading my supplies and all that kind of stuff. So I upgraded my booth a little bit more, than what it was the previous year. Something that I've never done and I would love to do in the future, but I know that's going to be a lot of work or I'm just gonna be really tired, is going to conventions outside of where I am. So just traveling for other conventions that are not just around the area. And to be honest, even though I absolutely love doing booths and selling my art in booths and all that kind of stuff, it is very energy consuming. At the end of the con, I'm usually really tired. So if the doing conventions as full-time could be very tiring, even though probably doing like 1, 2, maybe 3 a month. 3 is a lot. But doing something like that, then you have enough time kind of like to recover, but still like having to actually after a convention you have to restock and all of that, so you're still doing a lot of work right after a convention ends. So it does take a lot of energy to do cons, and I absolutely love it. It is a lot of fun, but yeah, they are tiring. Now for the tips. So for the first one, I would say if you're starting or you want to sell in cons and you want to see how it is, my first tip, at least, these are tips, just things that worked for me. The first thing I would say is just apply. In all honesty, just apply in all the cons that you can. It doesn't, your booth doesn't have to be perfect. You just have to be in there and see if this is something that you like. If the environment is good, if all of this work, because it's still a lot of work, if all of this is okay, you just have to pretty much, dip your toes and see if this is something that you actually like to do. Even if you don't feel like super ready, it will be your first convention selling, so it doesn't have to be perfect. From there on, you pretty much see what is it that you actually need, because in reality mine was far beyond being perfect. It was all over the place, but I just wanted to know what it was like being behind that table. It could be a little bit difficult to know what to sell and how many stuff to sell. You don't have to start with a whole bunch of items. You can start, I started with, I think I had like 10 art, fan art that I had. And then for the merchandise, I had like 2 or 3 things that I was selling. Oh, I think I was selling jewelry too. So I was selling jewelry or earrings, stickers, and prints. So anything that is easy to do at home, something that you could do from your house if possible, instead of having to have it manufactured somewhere, something that you can just pretty much have a lot more control. So usually prints, stickers, and if you like to do jewelry, then you can do that. But even with just prints and stickers, you can do big prints, little prints, big stickers, little stickers. So I mean, I feel like there's a whole other video when it comes to doing prints and stickers. But you have a lot, in my opinion, a lot more control when you can do it from home. So things that are a little bit easier to sell or a little bit easier to keep track of. You don't have to have a lot, because I know usually whenever you go to a conventions, a lot of artists do have a lot of merchandise, but then again, they have been doing this for a long time. They're very experienced. So in reality, what you're trying to do is pretty much start. So you don't have to sweat it out so much. Like, you don't have to have all of this stuff. It can be just a little bit and see what happens. You can also check to see what other artists are doing and what other artists are selling that is pretty much easy for you to create and easy for you to make and sell. So yeah, that's what helped me, or at least that's what I did. And it helped. And tip number 3, I know I just said to apply to every convention, but I would suggest actually applying to like one-day conventions first. So anything, yeah, like if you search up anime conventions one day in internet on Google, it will, like, a list will pop up about like around your area and all that kind of stuff. And also art shows, like sometimes they do art shows, or they do, even in establishments, they would have days where they would allow people to pretty much set a booth and just sell your art. So I would say apply to those first before getting into one of the big cons, like 3-day cons, 4-day cons, and all that kind of stuff, because it is a lot. I mean, if you want to go that far in the beginning, then power to you. You can definitely do what you want. But if you want to like start, because I know a lot of the times it's mostly about breaking the ice than anything else, I would say apply to a convention that is one day, or just a one-day thing where you can just apply and not worry so much about having inventory for 3 days and all of that. So yeah. So in conclusion, I really enjoy going to anime conventions. I plan on going to anime conventions. I enjoy selling my art in artist alleys in anime conventions. That's what I wanted to say. And I plan on keep on doing that and see if maybe in the future I could also make it a full-time as possible. I don't know, but I do really enjoy it, and I am definitely still have a lot to learn when it comes to selling my art. Selling your art and going to conventions and having a booth and selling your art there is still a business, and there's a lot that goes behind that. There's a lot of learning. You're always gonna be learning something new, because in reality there's never like a cap. There's always something to learn. So I still have a whole lot to learn, but it's a lot of fun. And if you like art and you would like to start selling your art, I feel like conventions is a good way of doing that. It also really helps with your confidence, self-esteem, and all that kind of stuff when selling your art, because I think, in my opinion, if you sell art outside where you get to interact with people, you're putting yourself out there. It's a little bit different than having to sell it behind your behind your monitor online and never sold anything outside. That way you can have like a little bit more just confidence into how sales go and all that kind of stuff. And also, because it's in the moment, your art will sell in the moment, so you will see what sells and what doesn't. Starting online, then it is a lot of times a little bit difficult. I don't know, it was harder for me, so I just think selling in conventions is pretty cool, and I think it helps out a lot it's really good for a lot of artists. So if it's something that you would like to do, I definitely recommend it. I think it's a lot of fun. You get to see a whole bunch of cosplay and all that kind of stuff. Oh, you get to also cosplay. I always try my best to kind of like cosplay and have something behind the booth that looks pretty cool, that could also attract attention. You want to attract attention. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. I definitely recommend it. So thank you so very much for making it to the end of this video. Thank you so very much. If you did like it, please give it a thumbs up. It will really help the channel. And if you'd like to see videos later, Well, yeah, later, but if you would like to see more videos like this in the future, subscribe if you would like to see more. And yeah, I hope you took something valuable from this video, hopefully. Or at least if it entertained you. But anywho, thank you so very much, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.